What's up, everybody? Happy Friday Face-Off. We brought the team back in here. We got Matt Thomas and Steph Dukes, and we're going to talk some youth hockey here. We are going to talk some youth hockey, and today's topic is about volunteers. And specifically, one thing that we see in all the work that we do with so many different youth organizations all over the place, and that's volunteer burnout. We don't have a sport without volunteers. Not everybody in this sport is paid. Most of the people who are working at the youth hockey levels are volunteering their time. And, you know, from what we've seen and what I see, you know, consistently in the work that we do with our youth hockey blueprint, but also with the messages that I get, is, man, it's hard to be a volunteer sometimes, whether you're volunteering your time as a coach, whether you're volunteering your time being on a board. There's a lot of people who put a lot of time and effort and sacrifice a lot of things into it. And I don't want to say aren't seeing many of the rewards coming back, but it's a thankless job. And let's talk about that here today. And so, Steph, let's talk to you because, you know, you as a hockey mom, as a hockey administrator, you know, for so many years with your two kids that are now grown up and older, what have you seen both in our work with the youth hockey blueprint and in our work in the youth hockey world, but also kind of living it on a day-to-day basis too? Why is there so much burnout, you know, in the volunteer ranks of youth hockey?
You know, I think the problem with burnout, it's not that people don't care enough. It's that we keep asking caring people to carry too much. So there are fewer and fewer people putting up their hands. And that it doesn't mean the workloads are lessening. It doesn't mean there aren't fewer things to get done. You're spreading everything that has to get done amongst fewer people. And always it's the people that put their hands up and say that, no, you know, something needs to get done. So I'll do it. And what ends up happening is and when I say it doesn't get done well, that's not really what I mean, but if anybody's spread too thin, right? Things probably aren't as successful as they could be, or processes aren't as clean and repeatable as they can be. Meetings aren't as effective or efficient as they could be. Same with committees. All of that stuff happens when you are spread so thin and the same people keep raising their hands. I mean, I've been part of committees where, you know, it started out as, let's say we're the golf outing committee, and it ends up being the same people that are on, you know, the tryout committee and the equipment ordering committee. And so what ends up happening is you have meetings that are 4 hours long with the same four people because nobody else is available to do the work. So again, it's the burnout is happening because there are fewer and fewer people putting their hands up. So the load is being carried by the same, you know, 10% of the people in every organization.
Yeah, that's one of the things we talk about is 90% of the work is done by 10% of the people when it comes to youth hockey a lot of the time. And Matt, I'll go to you here now too. Like, what are some things that you've seen organizations do to like lessen that burden, lessen the load? What are some things that organizations can do to, you know, whether it's reward the 10% of the people that are wearing 55 different hats, whether that's bringing more people on board to committees and to the board to make sure that the load gets spread to more people. What are some successful youth organizations doing to help decrease this burnout that we see so often?
Yeah, I think they make a commitment to having healthier infrastructure. You know, the clubs that struggle with bad infrastructure, you know, boards turn over, kids age out, families move, you know, but organizations need to survive beyond any one person. You know, as Steph pointed out, the same two or three people, that becomes, in engineering terms, a single point of failure. You know, you've built a structure that can fall apart when one or two people leave, and now you're backsliding. Now you're not even accelerating into the upcoming. You're just trying to play catch up, and we see that in our travels quite a bit. So the clubs that make a commitment to having documented processes, having committees that are healthy and staffed by people who take that seriously with a manageable workload. That this isn't my 8th subcommittee. This is the one subcommittee I'm involved with. Having shared responsibilities, having clear job descriptions, having leadership development and succession plans in place to plan for the next year. We ask players all the time, right? Hey, have a plan before the puck arrives. Pass it before you have to. And yet we as leaders and adults in the room, we don't think of succession plans until someone says they're quitting, right? Like let's take a little of our own advice here and think 5-10 years down the road, so we can have a better, a more realistic plan for people to get involved with and feel that love. You mentioned, how do we build sustainable models? I think saying thank you, not just by saying it, by saying thank you, by saying that's all I'm going to ask of you. Thank you for putting your hand up for that 1 hour a week. I'm not going to come back to the well and ask for 12. I'm going to continue to ask for 1 a week, maybe for a while. And I really appreciate that. And thank you. But the other way I say thank you is I don't come back to ask for hour 2, hour 3, hour 4, because I have no one else, right? I have to cast a wider net and take a longer view on this stuff. If you can do that, you can stay committed to the volunteer process. But what we're seeing is a lot of people take that challenge as an indicator that they should professionalize. And now we're going to hire people. And that can be very successful, but you're just kicking the can down the road if you hire someone and then throw 50 or 100 hats at them. Just because they have a full-time job and you're paying them doesn't mean they can handle it any better than you were handling it before. So even if you decide to go that route, you still need healthy infrastructure. You still need a sustainable model that can last long-term.
Yeah. One of the resources that we have for the clubs that we work with is an organizational chart. Here are the things that need to get done to be able to have a well-functioning organization. Here are the roles and responsibilities. And so I totally agree with you that, when those processes and those roles and responsibilities are in place, it's a lot easier to get things done, and it doesn't always fall on one person. However, I know we only have a couple minutes here. There is another, the one problem is, lack of organizational skill. But the other one is we actually do have an organizational chart, and we do have 15 to 20 people that have a job and have a responsibility. Here's the thing. Most people that are on youth hockey boards have 3 kids, 2 kids that are playing other sports and have jobs and all this kind of stuff. And a lot of times things don't end up getting executed, even though you have this role, you have this responsibility. We see this all the time. You go on somebody's website, it looks beautiful. There's a beautifully written organizational chart, yet it's a dumpster fire inside because there's no accountability for people to actually do the things that they're tasked with. How would you talk to a youth hockey board or youth hockey leadership when that is going on? We have the organization here. People have their roles and responsibilities. They're just not doing it, whether it's maliciously, whether it's I didn't get to it, whether I have a million other things going on outside of this youth hockey world. How do you help clubs with that?
Well, I would look to 2 culprits, I guess. And you're right. One of the culprits might be this person maybe put their hand up for the wrong reasons, right? They came to the board with an agenda. It was the wrong person for the seat. That's possible. The other possibility is we've designed this seat incorrectly. It just involves too much. When we wrote this thing 10, 20 years ago in our bylaws, this was a 1 hour a week job. Now it's a 10 hour a week, 20 hour a week job. So we got to go back to the drawing board a little bit and make sure we're spreading the hats around correctly. Youth sports has gotten more complicated than it was certainly when we came through, even probably when Steph, you were heavy into the volunteering 10 years ago. It's constant emails and texts, social media, the comparison culture, the parents who expect instant responses, more ice, more teams, more logistics, year-round recruiting and retention challenges, the pressure to act like a professional organization without the professional resources. It's the professionalized expectation without professionalizing your operation. So I would usually first look to how can we professionalize our operations a little bit, our infrastructure, our diagram, our scheme of this thing. Because I think most people want to come in and do a good job. But you're right, they run out of hours. That's a problem for me now as a leader to say, okay, how can I reallocate your energy? How can I focus your energy better? How can I take something off your plate and spread the workload around a little bit?
Yeah. I like what you said there too. Like, it's not just getting the right people on the bus, it's having the right people in the right seats.
Yeah.
Where they can take their skill set. Like, and that's where boards and like leadership, like, you have a lot of really talented parents in your ecosystem. You know, there's people who are good with finance. There are people who are good with marketing. There are people who are good with event planning. You know, you need to solicit them and find those people and put them in the seats that they're really, really good at. Because I think a lot of what it is too with these volunteers is like, all right, you're in charge of tryouts. Well, I've never ran a tryout before. What does that even mean? You know, you're in charge of marketing. Well, like I'm an engineer. I don't know. I think with the left side of my brain, not the right side. I get, what do you mean? Like I have to do that. So I really like that, right? Not just the right people on the bus, but in the right seats with the right roles that fit their skill set for what they can bring to the table. So, all right, guys, good stuff. Volunteer burnout. Like, man, thank you to everybody. Like, there's so many unbelievable volunteers in this game. We do not have a game without volunteers. And we wanted to talk about this because we think you got to be supported, you know, and just keep up the great work. Thank you for everything that you do.
Amen. Amen. Thank you, volunteers. Thank you. Thank you.